Hello and good evening, friends, and welcome to the Week 13 edition of TXN Sports World NFL Friday. I am your host, Anthony Florio, joined as always by good old MF Michael Fletcher and Michael Bullock. Week 13 of the NFL season started last night with, without question, the best game that has been the best Thursday night game on Amazon Prime Video so far this season. It ended up being a cross flex for our game of the week for myself and MF. When it comes to our side of the ledger, it was the Seattle Seahawks squaring off against the Dallas Cowboys at AT&T Stadium in Arlington. And when all was said and done, the Dallas Cowboys winning the game by a final score of 41-35. Unbelievable game. Dak Prescott, 29 of 41, 299 yards, 3 touchdown passes, no interceptions. Tony Pollard, 68 yards rushing and a touchdown. CeeDee Lamb, another big game for him, 116 yards on 12 catches and a touchdown. Jake Ferguson, 77 yards and a touchdown. Brandon Cooks, 45 yards receiving and a touchdown. Defense, 1 sack. It was by Hankins. And Deron Bland, yes, he had another interception. The only difference was it was not a pick six. It was an interception for Deron Bland. For the Seattle Seahawks, Geno Smith, 23 of 41, 334 yards, 3 touchdowns, but threw that interception. Zach Charbonnet, 60 yards rushing and a touchdown. Geno Smith had a rushing touchdown. DK Metcalf, game of his life, 6 catches, 134 yards, and 3 touchdowns on the night. Defense recorded 4 sacks, despite 4 sacks from the defense. Reed, Williams, Taylor, and Brooks had the sacks. And these teams combined for 817 total yards of offense, 411 for Dallas, 406 for Seattle. That's how close this game was. But the biggest stat of them all, no punts by either team the entire game. No punts. Only the 5th time in NFL history such a game like this has happened. Absolutely amazing game. 5-star classic. Shakespearean drama. 2 very good teams. And, of course, it was the Dallas Cowboys who came out on top. They keep pace with the Philadelphia Eagles in the NFC East. And the Seattle Seahawks taking the hit. Dallas improving to 9-3 on the season. Seattle drops to 6-6. And these 2 teams will be involved in the 2 biggest games of the NFC next weekend. Because next week, the Dallas Cowboys will be hosting the Philadelphia Eagles on Sunday Night Football next Sunday night on NBC. Philly and Dallas. And then from there, as for the Seattle Seahawks, they will be facing the San Francisco 49ers. They will be going to San Francisco to take on the 49ers in the 2 biggest games on the NFC side next week. So, great win for Dallas. It allows them to keep pace with Philadelphia in the NFC East and also have an outside chance at that number 1 seed in the NFC. And tough loss for Seattle, and it doesn't get any easier. Now they got to go to San Francisco to take on the 49ers. And if they want to have any chance of winning the NFC West, it is imperative they win that game in San Francisco next week. Because if they lose to San Francisco is pretty much going to run away with the NFC West. And the same can be said for Dallas against Philadelphia, regardless of what Philadelphia does against San Francisco on Sunday, which is our game of the week, and we're going to preview that in a little while. But nonetheless, it's good. Great game. Hands down, the best Prime Video game that we've seen this season, maybe ever. Who knows? But I'm so glad that Alan Herbie got to have a good one, and I'm glad that MF and I got to have a cross-flex game here, and I'm glad we invoked it because look what happened. We ended up getting a phenomenal game. So that's all I can say on this one. So good old MF Michael Fletcher, come on in. What a game it was last night. Dallas defeating Seattle 41-35. High scoring game, over 800 yards of total offense. Dallas comes away with it, but the big surprise that I found out earlier, no punts. We did not see one punt in that whole entire game, only the 5th time in history last night.
Yeah, no, this is a great game. This is a great battle. Look, going into this, we've seen Dallas being unbelievable, explosive, dominating. Practically everybody felt like they were the best team going in. And Seattle, you never knew what to get with Seattle. A lot of people kind of thought that this was going to be more of a Dallas domination. And Seattle really answered very early in this game. They kind of punched them in the mouth. And Dallas kind of, took the blow, kind of was a little shocked at the beginning. They're like, oh my God, what is this? But Dallas was able to calm down. They started going at it, and then we were going basically blow for blow, touchdown to touchdown, field goal to field goal. You knew at that point, game on. The battle was on, the war was on, and when it was all said and done, it was exactly what the game needed it to be. An exciting game, a great battle, and when it was all said and done, hats off to the Dallas Cowboys for winning it, but also major props. And I'll openly admit this, but major props as well to the Seattle Seahawks for making this game. When we were going in, we were thinking, this game ain't gonna be much about anything because we kind of be dumping and poo-pooing over Thursday night games. And like you said, Anthony, not only was this a great game, but this actually ended up being, at least up to this point, the game of the season for Thursday Night Football on Amazon Prime. So I think Jeff Bezos is like, you know what? This is why I spended all that money to get the NFL on my streaming service, to get it on Amazon Prime. This is why I spent all that money to get for games like this, and I hope you guys continue to produce and deliver like that. Unfortunately, next week the matchup not so tantalizing, not so exciting, but who knows? But one thing's for sure, this was incredible. What a game! The cross flex, we you know what? I was a little apprehensive about the cross flex. Anthony's like, no man, don't. You gotta trust me. You gotta trust me. The cross flex will work. The cross flex will work. We took it. We took a shot at it. Sure enough, bang! It worked. So yeah, nothing more to say. Great game. Nothing more to say. Michael Bullock, it's yours.
Bullock, okay.
Yeah, what a game this was. Like you said, this was definitely the best Thursday night game on Amazon Prime. I mean, we haven't had much of these, but yeah, and going into this, we were like thinking, yeah, this is going to be another one of those because I just don't see how Seattle can hang around with the Dallas Cowboys, but somehow, some way they made a game out of this one, and Dallas definitely got a lot more than what they handled here. So, but yeah, I mean, but you've got to give major props to Seattle. I mean, they hung around with them throughout this game, and for them to lose like that, it's just, I'm sure it's going to be a tough pill for them to swallow. And like you said, it doesn't get any easier for them because next week they got to deal with the San Francisco 49ers in San Fran. And then when it comes to the Dallas Cowboys, they got the Eagles. So you got two really good matches coming up next week. So we'll see how it all plays out. But a great game. Amazon, I think, should be happy with what they got here last night. So there's really nothing more for me to say. So Florio, let's move on to the rest of to the rest of especially the Sunday slate. And I think what we also got to do is keep an eye on the Pac-12 title game that's going on right now.
Yes, indeed. The number 3
And
Washington Huskies.
Right now, 20-17, Washington with the lead with just under 9 minutes to go in the third quarter. And all Washington has to do is win, and they are in the college football playoff.
Whoever wins is in the college football playoff. That's and we mentioned that on the show last night. So we'll wait and see what happens. Washington just got a big play there, so they're definitely driving again. So and it's imperative they do, because they had Oregon down 20-3, and Oregon scored 14 straight. So Washington's got to do their best to close the gap here if they want to have any chance to win. So yes, 20-17, Washington leading with over 8 minutes to go in the third quarter in the Pac-12 championship in Las Vegas. We'll keep an eye on it. I know these guys will not hesitate to cut in with any breaking moments. So, all right, week 13 of the NFL, 6 teams on bye this week: the Baltimore Ravens, my Buffalo Bills, the Chicago Bears, the Las Vegas Raiders, the Minnesota Vikings, and the New York Giants. You will not see those teams this week. So with that, let's get into who you will see this week. And we started off we have 7 1:00 games here, and we started off with what I consider the one of the two big games of the early window. The big game on our side of the ledger. It's our number 2 overall game of the week, as it will feature the Denver Broncos squaring off against the Houston Texans from NRG Stadium, formerly Reliant Stadium in Houston, Texas. Ian Eagle, Charles Davis, and Evan Washburn will be on the call for that one. And Houston opening up as a 3-point favorite. Denver, however, leads the all-time series 6-3, and Denver's won the last 2 meetings against Houston. They met last year in Denver. Denver won 16-9. Last meeting in Houston was 2019. Denver also won that one, 38-24. The Texans have only beaten the Broncos at home once, and that was back in 2007, 31-13. So with that, let's get into our number 2 game of the week on our side of the ledger. Sleeper game of the year. I'm just going to come out and say it. It's the sleeper game of the year. So here we go. From weeks 9 through 12, the Broncos have held opposing quarterbacks to a QBR of 31.9, fourth lowest, and are keeping opposing offenses to 18 points a game, 13th lowest. But Texans quarterback C.J. Stroud has a QBR of 68.3, fifth best during that same span. This matchup will be the collision of one strength versus another. The Broncos will do what only 3 other teams have done this season: force Stroud into multiple turnovers. Stroud has only 3 games, wins over Arizona and Cincinnati, to go with a loss to Indianapolis in his second career start, when he has turned the ball over more than once. The Broncos have 16 takeaways during their current 5-game winning streak, with 15 of those occurring in the last 4 games. Their most in a 4-game span since 1989. Their 22 takeaways on the season lead the league. Broncos quarterback Russell Wilson has 5 straight starts with a passing touchdown and no interceptions, longest active streak in the NFL and 3rd longest streak of his career, behind a 6-game streak in 2020 and a 7-game run in 2019. Wilson has an NFL best 20-4 touchdown interception ratio this season. The X factor is Texans left guard Juice Scruggs. When Titus Howard suffered a knee injury last week, Scruggs replaced him, and that looks like a long-term move now that Howard is out for the season. The second-round rookie put up a strong 96% pass block win rate in that game, but is obviously unproven. Protecting C.J. Stroud will be critical, both on Sunday and going forward. It would be wise for fantasy managers to temper their expectations for Texans receivers Tank Dell and Nico Collins against the Broncos. Despite a rough start, Denver's defense has been playing well lately. Throughout the Broncos' recent stretch, opposing quarterbacks, including the likes of Kansas City's Patrick Mahomes and Buffalo's Josh Allen, have managed to average only 12 fantasy points. Can you imagine that? That will affect Houston's receivers. Texans are 0-7 against the spread in their last 7 games as favorites, including 0-4 against the spread this season. The FPI likes Houston, 54% going with the Texans by an average of 1.5 points. I'm going with the Houston Texans to win this game. I think it's going to be a high-scoring game. I'm going to say 31-28. The Houston Texans knock off the Denver Broncos in Houston, but I would not at all be surprised if Denver were to take it. So, out of all the games this week, I can honestly say this is the toughest one to call. Although there is another one, but this is one of the 2 games that is very tough to call. So, 31-28, Houston wins. MF, we saw Houston last week against Jacksonville. They took Jacksonville to the limit. That 58-yard field goal with that doink off the crossbar made us go, oh no. And I did the no good. Jacksonville steals it and the whole 9. But now they got a red-hot Bronco team coming into NRG in our number 2 game of the week. Big implications on the AFC playoff picture.
Yeah, no doubt about it. This is going to be an absolute barn burner, a great matchup, to say the very least. I think Houston's going to bounce back, though. I think, Houston kind of feels like they let one get away against Jacksonville last week. I think a lot of people felt like that could have gone either way. I think Houston will bounce back. They'll get the win here. So give me the Houston Texans to win it. And Michael Bullock, I give it to you.
Yeah, that was a tough loss there for Houston. I mean, to come up that short of tying the game up, or that's got to be a tough pill to swallow for them. But Denver, I mean, what can you say about them? They are on an absolute roll here, and yeah, this is a game that's something's got to give here. I mean, like you said, this is a tough one to call, but I have to go with the Houston Texans. I mean, I think they're going to bounce back, and the loss, I think, will definitely motivate them. So give me the Houston Texans. But if Denver wins, I would not at all be surprised, because that's just how good they're playing right now. So nothing more to say. It's yours.
Absolutely, Bullock. So that being said, we move on to our next matchup. Staying on our side of the ledger, this game came in at number 6. This is our number 6 game of the week right here, as it will be the Los Angeles Chargers squaring off against Michael Bullock's New England Patriots from Gillette Stadium in Foxborough. You can find this game over on CBS, and on the call for that game will be Spiro Ditas, Adam Archuleta, and Aditi Kinkibuela, and the Chargers. LA Chargers opening up as 5.5-point favorites. New England, however, leads the all-time series 24-14 with 2 ties. And the Patriots have actually won the last 7 meetings in a row against the Chargers, including playoffs. They last met in 2021 in Los Angeles. New England won 27-24. Last meeting in New England was the AFC divisional playoff in January of 2019 that New England won 41-28. Last regular season meeting, 2017, New England also won that one, 21-13. The Chargers last beat the Patriots in 2008. That was in San Diego, 30-10. The last time the Chargers won in New England, obviously they were the San Diego Chargers, and that was back in 2005 when the Chargers went into Foxborough and pounded the Patriots 41-17. So not much more to say here. MF, the LA Chargers, we know their story. Tough luck losers. No question about that. How many of these games have they had all these years? But I don't know if they have to worry about that on Sunday going in and going up against the and I'm sorry to say this, but the dumpster fire known as the New England Patriots.
Yeah, Bailey Zappi is the starter for the game on Sunday. He has been announced as the starter going in. Look, if you're the Patriots, you're just playing for pride now. You're just playing just for the heart of the city, for the fans and everything else, and the people that kind of, the true diehards, the true Patriot fans. that are not abandoning the ship, as I would say. I know there's a few people out there that wants to see New England continue to lose because they feel like that would be the moment that they would need in order to help them make the run for the number 1 overall draft pick in the upcoming NFL draft. Right now, they stand at number 2 behind the Chicago Bears because remember, they actually do have the number 1 overall pick because of the fact of a trade that they did with the Carolina Panthers. The Panthers gave up that first-round draft pick to the Bears, and now Chicago, because of that, because of the horrible season that they have, it now opens the door for them to have the number 1 overall pick. New England right now is currently at number 2. So the way that this can handle is going to be 2 ways. One, obviously, there's the quote unquote tanking mechanism. Should a team continue to lose, continue to do what they're doing, to improve their draft stock? And that's one thing that I've been hearing. That's one thing that a lot of the traditionalists are saying, oh, I think New England should continue to do this because look who they could possibly get if they keep losing in the NFL draft. To get a top 2 pick, to get that spot, that you can draft a quarterback, then you can totally rebuild through that quarterback and turn this team into that juggernaut down the line. But there's the true fans that are like, no, we should keep doing what we're doing, continue the process, not give up any more bad losses like we've been doing. We got to keep fighting, keep playing, do it the Patriot way. Stay the course no matter what the circumstances are. I think Michael Bullock will probably be more poetic about it than any one of us virtually in about a minute or so, but we'll see. So honestly, the Chargers have been so inconsistent. They play great until the very end, and then something goes wrong. So I don't know. I mean, could New England steal it? Yes. But I kind of feel like the Chargers should win this game. And I think they will win this game. How does it go down the line? We'll have to wait and see. But for what it's worth, this is going to be a very interesting situation. So nothing more to say. Michael Bullock, I give it to you.
Yeah, I mean, we've heard the story so many times. I mean, there are so many people, including those on talk radio, that say the Patriots should tank, they should continue to lose in order to improve their draft status in order to get, whether it's number 2 or number 1, yada, yada, yada. Look, I get that. But the thing is, I mean, these players, they're going to continue to play hard. I mean, no matter what the situation is, because you're wearing that Patriot uniform, because when you wear that uniform, you're playing for those who some of the many great names in the history of that franchise. So many great names. Obviously, the GOAT Tom Brady being one of them, but there are so many other greats like Troy Brown, Teddy Bruschi, Willie McGinnis, Steve Grogan, Andre Tippett, all those great names in the history of that franchise. And trust me, fans, go to the Patriots Hall of Fame and check it out and see all those great names that have played for that franchise. You're playing for all those legends. I mean, imagine, Florio, what that group would think if if this team was trying to lose games just to improve their draft status, what would they think?
I know one in particular, TB12.
Exactly. I just mentioned him.
I know, yeah, him and all those
Teddy Bruce
legends of yesteryear, like your Drew Bledsoes and your Troy Browns and your Steve Grogans and your
Teddy Bruschi.
Teddy Brewskis. Yes, absolutely.
All those great names. They would. I'm sure they would not appreciate this. They're probably sitting there saying, "No, you're wearing the jersey of the New England Patriots, and you need to go out there and play for pride. Go out there and play your hearts out and see what happens." So, to me, I'm with those guys. And my message to the Patriots out there: don't listen to what all those people, especially all those, whether it's the fans or certain sports talk radio people are saying, like Michael Felger, Tony Maserati, and yes, a certain guy by the name of Adam Jones. Yes, I'm calling you out, you D-bag. This team should not be tanking. They should continue to play hard with pride, especially with that wearing that, especially the throwback uniforms they're going to be wearing this weekend. You play for the New England Patriots, and you play for absolute pride, and play for those great legends. Then, I mean, I think the Patriots will lose this one, but it's not going to be because they didn't try. Because I'm sure they're going to play their hearts out. Yes, they're not going to go anywhere, but come on. If they try to tank, then they're giving in to those so-called experts with what they're saying. You play with pride and dignity. Chargers lose, but I think they're going to play their hearts out.
I think you meant Patriots.
It's yours,
lose.
Wario.
I think you meant Patriots lose, but they play their hearts out.
Yeah, that's what I meant there. I mean, I'm just trying to show my Patriot pride here as a true fan. You play with pride and dignity. Period.
And in the immortal words of Herman Edwards, you play to win the game.
You're damn right on that.
Hello.
And to all those people who say they should tank, you know what? You can go screw yourselves.
Yeah.
I'm done. I'm finished. Yeah. Or should I say, yeah. So I'm done. I'm finished. Florio, it's yours. Screw all the people who say they should tank.
Yeah. So, oh boy. Oh, Oregon has just really made things interesting now. And yes, and Memphis.
Yeah, and one more thing, Florio. I'm sorry to interrupt, but
no.
And you know what? To all those people who say, are probably going to say to me, "Oh, you're not a believer of what they." I mean, think of all the. I mean, they should tank because of what they could get in the draft. You know what? If you're going to come out and say that to me, you know what I say? You can kiss my ass.
Yeah. So, well, in the immortal words of Devon Dudley, "Oh, my brother, testify." So, there you go. Let that be a message to all you fake fans out there. All right.
Yeah. All you fake fans can kiss my ass.
All right. So with that being
said, get off that bandwagon, or in the immortal words of Michael Wilbon, get out.
Get out. Get out with that junk. Yeah. All right. Moving on to our next game, which is the number 2 game of the week on the NFC side of the ledger. The Detroit Lions squaring off against the New Orleans Saints from the Caesars
Superdome. Did you talk about it yet?
Oh yeah. I got so pumped up over that rah-rah speech there, Bo. You got me going for a minute, so you got me excited. So,
but I can't believe I'm actually saying that to you, especially with you as the host. I can't believe I'm saying that.
I know. Number 1, long day. 2, excitement that Michael Bullock, and of course, excitement over this Pac-12 championship game as well. And Oregon taking the lead. Oh, by the way,
that might come back though.
Yeah, knee is down. Yep. Okay, never mind.
But It will be a first down because there was a penalty on the play before. It was an offside on the defense, so they're going to have to march off 5 yards. So Oregon will keep the ball. It'll be first and goal, but it'll be inside the 5-yard line by the time that they do the play. But they have to honor the penalty, so it actually would be half the distance to the goal. So it'll be first down at the 3.
First down at the 3. Okay. All right. So with that being said, let me get into my thoughts on the Charger-Patriot game. My apologies for the little botcheroo there. Long day, number 1, but 2, and more so, how could you not get pumped up after those very well said words by Michael Bullock? I mean, I want to run through a damn brick wall for him right now. Honest to goodness. Slap me in a Patriot jersey. I will do just that. So, and of course, some other big things that happened in the world of professional wrestling tonight, if you know what I mean. Wink, wink. So, all right, let's get into my thoughts on this one now. Backup quarterback Bailey Zappi is expected to make his first start of the season for the Patriots, replacing Mac Jones, who has been pulled from 4 games. Zappi said he hopes to follow a similar formula to last season when he started 2 games that the team won, and he was able to limit turnovers. The Chargers have a +3 turnover differential on the season, 15 takeaways, 12 giveaways. And now Oregon is taking the lead. All right. Chargers defense will force a season-high 4 turnovers. One of the few things this struggling Charger defense has done well is beating up on inexperienced quarterbacks. Khalil Mack sacked Raiders rookie quarterback Aiden O'Connell 6 times in Week 4. They forced 5 turnovers combined in wins over the Zach Wilson-led New York Jets and Tyson Bagent-led Chicago Bears. With Zappi taking first-team reps at practice this week for the Patriots, the Chargers defense could be in for another big performance. Chargers quarterback Justin Herbert is 0-2 in his career against the Patriots, with 2 touchdown passes, 4 interceptions, and a 13 total QBR, his lowest QBR versus a single opponent. The X factor is the Chargers' run defense. It's hard to imagine the Patriots passing a ton, and no team has allowed more EPA per design carry over the last 4 weeks than the Chargers. Los Angeles should roll to an easy win unless the defense really lets the team down. Ezekiel Elliott has had 10 or more touches in consecutive games, while Ramondre Stevenson had 20 or more touches in consecutive games. As a result of the Patriots' quarterback woes, New England will likely turn to its running backs behind an offensive line that ranks 7th in run block win rate. The Chargers' defense allows the 9th most fantasy points a game to running backs. Patriots are 2-9 against the spread, the worst record in the league. They are 1-7 against the spread in their last 8 games and 0-4 against the spread in their last 4 games. One more against the spread loss will match the Patriots' most against the spread losses in the Bill Belichick era, 6-10 against the spread in 2010. Chargers, big FPI favorite. You would imagine they would be 68% for the FPI for the Chargers by an average of 6.1 points. I got the LA Chargers winning this game as well. 27-13, the Chargers over the Patriots. So now we move on to the number 2 game of the week on the NFC side of the ledger. The Detroit Lions squaring off against the New Orleans Saints from the Caesars Superdome in New Orleans, Louisiana. On Fox, Joe Davis, Daryl Moose Johnston, Pam Oliver will be on the call for that one. Detroit opening up as a 4-point favorite. New Orleans, however, leads the all-time series 13-12 with a tie. And that one tie came in their very first meeting in 1968. They played to a 2020 tie in Detroit. Last meeting was 2020 in Detroit, and New Orleans won 35-29. Last meeting in New Orleans was 2017. New Orleans won a wild one, 52-38. Detroit last beat New Orleans at New Orleans and overall in 2016. They won in New Orleans 28-13. So not much more to say on that one. I think I've all the schematics. I believe Michael Bullock starts this one off. So Michael Bullock, Detroit and New Orleans. Detroit how can how will they bounce back after that demoralizing loss at home to Green Bay on Thanksgiving?
Yeah, they need a bounce back here. I mean, after correct me if I'm wrong if I say this. Their 7 straight loss on Thanksgiving Day.
Yeah, unbelievable.
I mean, you would think with the way this team is playing this year, you would think that they were going to have no problems on Thanksgiving, but they got more than what they bargained for, and yeah, you'll wonder if that's going to be a wake up call for them. That you can't be too confident, because if you do, then something like that could happen to you, and that's what happened to them. So they need to play with more focus in this one and not take the Saints lightly, because I'm telling you right now, Florio, if this happens again, I think we might need to start worrying a little bit for the Lions. I mean, 2 games that they should win, and that eventually they could lose. I mean, that could set some concerns for the Lions fans, but I think Dan Campbell's going to have this team focused. I think Goff will definitely play better. I think this team will definitely play better. So give me the Detroit Lions to win this one and bounce back after that demoralizing defeat. So it's yours, Florio.
For the moment, we have lost good old MF Michael Fletcher. Hopefully, we'll get him back soon enough. But while we wait for him, let me get into this one here. The Saints could be down their top 3 receivers, with Michael Thomas on injured reserve with a knee injury, Rashid Shaheed with nursing a thigh injury, and Chris Olave in concussion protocol. That's bad news for an offense that failed to score a touchdown against Atlanta last week. The Saints have struggled in the red zone, which will make it difficult to score for the Lions offense that ranks 2nd in yards per game. Lions quarterback Jared Goff won't turn the ball over this week and will throw for more than 300 yards. It's no secret that the veteran has struggled recently, with 6 turnovers over the last 2 games. But the Lions placed a heavy emphasis on ball security during this week's practice, as they will be looking to bounce back after a tough Thanksgiving loss at home to the Green Bay Packers. Goff will get the offense back on track. The Saints' Alvin Kamara leads all running backs with 54 receptions. With 355 receiving yards, he is seeking his 7th season with at least 400 receiving yards. It would be tied for the 5th most seasons by a running back in NFL history. The X factor is Lions wide receiver Khalif Raymond. He's coming off a 90-yard receiving game and is ranked in the top 10 in open score. Is it possible Raymond is having a late season breakout into another target for Goff? The Saints' red zone touchdown percentage this season is 42.5%. At home, it drops to 37.5%, the 4th lowest in the NFL. Starting a Saints player, you should keep in mind New Orleans' red zone woes. The Saints are 0-4 against the spread at home. The Lions are 4-1 against the spread on the road, and 3-0 against the spread as road favorites. FPI likes Detroit 56% by an average of 2.1 points. I'm going with the Detroit Lions to win this game. Final score for me, I'm going to say 28-23. The Detroit Lions defeat the New Orleans Saints. Perfect timing. Good old MF Michael Fletcher back in. MF, Detroit, and New Orleans, the number two game of the week on the NFC side.
Yeah, and I apologize, guys. I kind of it's a little trickier when I'm doing these things on cell than I do with my regular computer. But I will say this: I am in full. I'm in full compliment here. I do believe when it's all said and done, I do agree that I have I also have Detroit winning. I don't know what happened with them on Thanksgiving. I kind of feel like that was probably a mirage. I feel like that was just a mistake out of nowhere. Just one of those bad moments. So I do believe they'll bounce back, and I do believe they'll get the job done. So yes, give me them to win this game. So nothing more to say, and I believe it goes Bullock back to you.
No, Bullock led off. So,
all right.
Yep, Bullock started it. So we go back to the top of the order here for our next matchup, and now we've lost Bullock. Probably hit the wrong button, I'm sure. So
yeah, probably.
Yeah, so we should have him back momentarily. While we wait, let's set up for our next matchup here in the early window of Sunday's action. You can also find this game on Fox as well. Falcons squaring off against the New York Jets, MetLife Stadium, East Rutherford, New Jersey, in the Meadowlands. Working this game for Fox will be, as soon as I can find it, Kenny Albert, Jonathan Vilma, and Shannon Spake. And the spread favors Atlanta. Atlanta opening up as a 2-point favorite. Atlanta leads the all-time series 8-5. Falcons have won the last 2 meetings in a row against the Jets. They last met 2021 in London, and Atlanta won 27-20. They last met in the last meeting in New York was 2017. Atlanta also won that game 25-20. Jets last beat the Falcons in 2013 in Atlanta 30-28. The Jets last beat the Falcons at home all the way back in 1998 at the old Giant Stadium. They beat them down 28-3. So with that being said, let's dive on into our next matchup, the Falcons and the Jets. Desmond Ridder versus Tim Boyle is not exactly a marquee quarterback matchup. Ridder has 18 turnovers in 9 starts with a record of 5-4, while Tim Boyle, who began the season as the third stringer, threw 2 interceptions in his first start. The Jets are seeking to avoid their 8th straight game with fewer than 2 touchdowns, which would be the longest streak by any team since the 2011 St. Louis Rams. The Falcons have 3 rushers, Bijan Robinson, Tyler Algier, and Cordarrelle Patterson, who will rush for more than 50 yards. And Robinson will have more than 100 yards from scrimmage for the 3rd straight game. As good as New York is against the pass, it is ranked number 31 entering the week in rushing yards allowed. They've allowed 1,543. With the Falcons having a top 5 rushing offense, all 3 of their main backs will thrive. Ridder has had 5 red zone turnovers this season, 2 more than any other player. A 6th would break the tie for the most by a Falcons player over the last 40 seasons. The X factor is Tim Boyle. There's no reason to believe he's up for this job based on his track record in college, in the pros, and last week, when he recorded a QBR of 4.6. He has the chance to prove folks wrong. The Jets need him to. The Falcons would be wise to rely heavily on running the football, considering the strength of New York's secondary. Atlanta ranks 3rd in rushing attempts per game. Over the last 3 games, the Jets have given up the 9th most rushing yards a game to opponents. Falcons are 0-6 against the spread in their last 6 games as 1-6 against the spread this season. But the FPI likes Atlanta 57% by an average of 2.3 points. I got Atlanta. Atlanta wins. Final score for me, I'm going to say it's going to be an ugly game. I'm going to say 19-9. Atlanta defeats the Jets. So not much more to say here. MF, Atlanta, as of now, Atlanta, has control of the NFC South. They control their own destiny in that dumpster fire of a division. And now they got the Jets in New York. Chance for them to hang on to that. But that NFC South, topsy-turvy. And, oh, boy, what a mess.
Yeah, it's not good. It's not been great at all. I'm going with Atlanta as well. I kind of feel like if they give the ball to Bijan Robinson and let him do what he needs to do, this team is going to be just fine. Like, this team is good enough that they can win. So that's been one of the biggest indictments on this squad more than anything else. But yeah, Anthony, I totally am fully agreed here. I think Atlanta just will have enough to get by and win the game. So give me the Falcons. Michael Bullock, I'll give it to you.
Yeah, that division is an absolute dumpster fire. I mean, anybody could basically win that division, but yeah, and when it comes to the Jets, I mean, you talk about a dumpster fire. This team is is that as well. I mean, especially offensively. And Tim Boyle's getting the start again, and I'll tell you, the Jets really need to start making a run here, because if they want a shot at making the playoffs and possibly get Aaron Rodgers back before the season's over, they need to start playing well. Because if this continues, I'm going to say it, boys. I think the Jets need to shut down Aaron Rodgers for the rest of the season, especially if they're out of the playoff picture. Because what's the point of bringing him back when you're not even in the playoff race?
I agree with that.
Yeah. So I'm sorry to say this, but I think it's going to continue for the Jets, because I got the Falcons winning as well. So there's nothing more to say. On to the next game, Florio.
And it's back to our side of the ledger. It's a cross-flex game. This one got cross-flexed over to CBS. It's our number 7 game of the week. There's actually one game that's worse than this, but it is one of the Zonk games of the week. It's not the Zonk game of the week. That's later, but this is right behind it. Coming in as our number 7 game of the week, the Arizona Cardinals squaring off against the Pittsburgh Steelers, Acrisure Stadium, formerly Heinz Field in Pittsburgh. And I know MF is not going to like this when I say it. Kevin Harlan, Trent Green, and Melanie Collins are going to be on the call for this game. Got a feel for Kevin Harlan there. Pittsburgh opening up as a 6.5-point favorite. Pittsburgh leads the all-time series 34-23 with 3 ties. This meeting was 2009. And a matter of fact, the Steelers have won the last 4 meetings in a row against the Arizona Cardinals, including one of the greatest Super Bowls of all time, Super Bowl 43. Last meeting was 2019 in Arizona. Pittsburgh won 23-17. Last meeting in Pittsburgh was 2015. Pittsburgh won 25-13. The Arizona Cardinals, the Arizona Cardinals have not won in Pittsburgh since they were the St. Louis Cardinals all the way back in 1969. That is the last time the Cardinals won a game in Pittsburgh. They haven't won one there since 1969. So, not much more to say. MF, we should know we had that Super Bowl. You'll never forget when I screamed out, Santonio Holmes. We all remember that. If you think this game is going to be anything like that epic Super Bowl, not so much here.
Not so much. Not this time around, folks. Look, I gotta say, this is gonna be a good matchup. This is gonna be a good game. But like you said, I just don't see it happening. So at the end of the day, I'm in total agreement with you here. I believe when it's all said and done, Pittsburgh should win it. Look, last week they finally, after they fired Matt Canada, look at their offense. They finally had an semblance of offense. First time all year over 400 yards of total offense. They were running the football. They went back to the classic Pittsburgh Steeler playbook. The one that, if you remember back in the day, this was the Bill Cowher style of football, which was, you ran the football, you limited the quarterback play, maybe had the quarterback throw maybe 25 times or less, and that you were basically more of a running the football, running it down the throat, and then relying on your defense to win that game. That's exactly what they did, and that's how they got the job done. So I think Pittsburgh is going to do it yet again. Michael Bullock, I give it to you.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is going to be and Washington just got a touchdown, and they have just regained the lead. So, man, if this is a sign of what's to come in this fourth quarter, we're in for something special here, folks.
If it's a sign of things to come for tomorrow overall.
Exactly. But getting back to this, I mean, yeah, I mean, like you said, it was during the 2008 season when these two met in the Super Bowl, and now look at here. But Arizona, I mean, a 2-10 record, but yeah, Pittsburgh. I mean, I think they're the better team here, so I got Pittsburgh winning this one as well. So it's yours, Florio.
Yes, indeed. Just gotta get it out, get it on my end here. Push back up. All right. MF just mentioned it. He actually beat me to the punch a little bit, but no problem. I'll reiterate it. After firing offensive coordinator Matt Canada, the Steelers gained more than 400 yards in a game for the first time in 58 regular season games. But the yards did not translate into an explosion of points. That could change this week. The Cardinals' defense is second to last in the NFL in points allowed, giving up an average of 26.8 points a game. Arizona's rushing defense is also one of the worst in the league, giving up an average of 174 yards on the ground in its last 3 games. Cardinals running back James Conner will run for 125 yards. This will be a knockdown, drag-out fight between Arizona's rushing offense, which is ranked 10th in the league in yards per game and 3rd in yards per carry, and the Steelers' rushing defense, which has not allowed more than 116 yards in its last 5 games, including back-to-back games of keeping its opponents under 100 yards. Conner will be ready to break out in his return to Pittsburgh, where he played his college ball and the first 4 years of his NFL career. Steelers edge rusher TJ Watt has 4 consecutive games with 1 full sack, tied for the second longest streak of his career, behind a 6-game streak in 2019, and the second longest active streak in the NFL behind Miami's Jalen Phillips, who had 5 games. The X factor, Cardinals quarterback Kyler Murray's accuracy. His off-target rate, 19%, is at a career high since his return this season. Part of that is driven by him throwing the ball farther downfield on average than ever. But even accounting for that, his accuracy numbers are down. His adjusted completion percentage and completion percentage over expectation per NFL Next Gen stats are also at career lows. Murray has scored 17 or more fantasy points and scored a rushing touchdown in 3 consecutive games after missing the first 9 games with a knee injury. Steelers defense has given up the 9th most passing yards a game. Steelers are 5-0 against the spread against teams currently with losing records this season. Pittsburgh is an overwhelming FPI favorite, 72%, going with Pittsburgh by an average of 7.7 points. I got Pittsburgh winning this one as well. 23 Pittsburgh over Arizona. Next up, the 5 game of the week on our side of the ledger. AFC South divisional matchup featuring the Indianapolis Colts squaring off against the Tennessee Titans, Nissan Stadium in Nashville, Tennessee. And this game over on CBS, of course. And I believe Andrew Catalan's crew is working this game. I just want to double check and be sure on that. Yes, Andrew Tiki Barber, Matt Ryan, and AJ Ross. They will be on the call for that game. And Indianapolis opening up as only a 1-point favorite. It's almost basically a pick 'em here. Second meeting of the season between these two AFC South divisional rivals. They met on October the 8th. That was, I believe that was week number 5 in Indianapolis. And Indianapolis won the game by a score of 23-16. So Indy adds to their series lead. Indy now leads the overall regular season series 36-21, including that win earlier this season. And that snapped a 5-game losing streak to the Tennessee Titans. That win in Indianapolis. Tennessee won in Nashville last year, 24-17. They won the last 2 meetings. Tennessee also won 25-16 the year before. Indianapolis last won in Tennessee in 2020. That was a 34-17 final. So, Michael Bullock, come on in. You'll lead off on this one. Our number 5 game of the week on our side of the ledger. In Tennessee, AFC South divisional matchup. Indianapolis looks to keep pace with, looks to hang with Jacksonville and Houston. And Tennessee back on track after a 3-game losing streak when they did what they were supposed to do, take care of business against Carolina.
Yeah, I mean, it should be a good one, but the thing is, I mean, for Indianapolis, they're going to be without Jonathan Taylor in this one, so it's going to make it a little more difficult here. So, I mean, yes, Tennessee got back on track, and I do think that momentum is going to continue for them. So, I'm going with the Tennessee Titans to win this one, but I would not be surprised if the Colts win this. So, it's yours, Florio.
Yeah. Bullock mentioned it. He's absolutely right. But the Indy will be without Jonathan Taylor. I'll have more on that in a second. The Titans will look to minimize the Colts' rushing attack after allowing 193 yards on the ground the last time they met. Tennessee will have defensive tackle T.R. Tart this time around, which will boost the run defense. The Colts will be without Jonathan Taylor with a thumb injury, but Zach Moss's 672 rushing yards place him 10th in the league. Titans pride themselves on stopping the run and will have their hands full against the Colts offense that is 11th in the league with 1,335 yards on the ground. Look for the Colts to give up more than 150 rushing yards given their recent struggles defending the run. Indianapolis has struggled since the loss of nose tackle Grover Stewart to a PED suspension. Since Stewart was sidelined in Week 7, the Colts have allowed 4.9 yards per attempt, up from 3.7 in Weeks 1 to 6. Titans running back Derrick Henry was limited to 43 yards and 3.3 yards a carry in the team's first meeting with Stewart on the field. Henry has 1,330 rushing yards in 15 career games against Indianapolis, the third most all-time versus the Colts, trailing only Maurice Jones-Drew, who was second with 1,451 yards in 15 games, and the leader, Curtis My Favorite Martin, with 1,645 games in 15 games. The X factor is Zach Moss. Even after taking a backseat role to Jonathan Taylor, Zach Moss ranks second among all players in rush yards over expectation, per NFL Next Gen stats this season with plus 168. The only player he's behind is another running back who has had limited playing time, the Miami Dolphins' Devon Achane. Gardner Minshew and the Colts wide receivers have an excellent matchup. Wide receivers score the 8th most fantasy points against the Titans. With Taylor out with a thumb injury, the Colts could rely more on the passing game against a normally stout Tennessee run defense. The Titans are 4-1 outright and against the spread at home, and the Colts are 4-1 outright and against the spread on the road. FPI likes Indianapolis in this one, 57% by an average of 2.5 points. I'm sorry, Bullock, I got to respectfully disagree with you. I still got to go with Indianapolis. 21-17, Indianapolis defeats Tennessee. So not much more to say here. MF, Colts going to be without Jonathan Taylor. Can they still win in Nashville?
More difficult if they need to. I don't think Indy can. Offensively, I'm not looking at anything that would resemble anything here. I mean, the Jonathan Taylor injury does affect a little bit, but even then, I feel like Tennessee is so inconsistent. Even though they had a great performance last week and won, I really am not convinced either way. I think this is going to be not the flashiest game, low-scoring affair. I say like a 17-14, but I would give the nod to Tennessee to win the game. So give me the Titans to win it. Close matchup, but Anthony, I give it back to you.
Fair enough. And we move on to our final early game of the week. And it's going to be a cross flex for Fox, as it will feature good old MF Michael Fletcher's Miami Dolphins squaring off against the Washington Commanders from FedEx Field in Landover, Maryland. You can find this game over on Fox, of course, and on the call for that game will be Adam Amin, Adam Amin, Mark Schlereth, and Christina Pink, and MF will explain why. I know he'll be happy about that call. So that's the next best thing to Kevin Harlan, who's been the Dolphins' good luck charm this year. Adam Amin, Mark Schlereth, and Christina Pink on the call for that one. And the Miami Dolphins. And according to my spreads here, according to my spreadsheet, overall, Miami is the second biggest favorite of the week. Well, tied for the second biggest favorite. Another team that will have this same. Well, actually, no. They're tied for the largest spread of the week. Dallas was a 9.5-point favorite last night. The Miami Dolphins are also a 9.5-point favorite against Washington. Miami leads the all-time series 8-5. However, back in 2019, in their last meeting in Miami, the then Washington Redskins stole one in Miami in 2019, 17-16, snapping a 2-game losing streak to the Miami Dolphins. Last meeting in Washington was 2015. Miami won 17-10. The Washington last beat Miami at home in 2007, a 16-13 overtime win. So I believe we go back to the top, and it goes back to me. So let's get started on our final early game of week number 13. Washington coach Ron Rivera will take over as the defensive play caller for the fired Jack Del Rio. It'll be Rivera's first time calling defensive signals since 2018, when he was the head coach of the Carolina Panthers. It will not be easy on Sunday. Miami leads the NFL with 42 offensive touchdowns, while Washington has allowed the second most with 35. Also, Miami is second with 57 plays of 20 yards or more, and Washington has allowed the most with 59. In their first game since linebacker Jalen Phillips suffered a season-ending Achilles injury, the Dolphins will record at least 6 sacks against the Commanders' offensive line that has allowed the second most sacks in the NFL at 55. Bradley Chubb will step up and secure 3 himself as the league's third-ranked pass rush continues its hot streak. The Dolphins are seeking their 7th 30-point game this season. It would be their most since they had 8 in 1985. They have scored 44 total touchdowns this season, 4 more than any other team, after scoring 46 all of last season, which was good for 9th in the NFL. The X factor is Dolphins defensive back Jalen Ramsey. With him on the field this season, the Dolphins have allowed minus 0.16 EPA per dropback, equivalent to second best in the NFL, compared to minus 0.02 without him. Still good, but not elite. They haven't faced a killer row of offenses since his return, but the team's improved defensive performance has coincided with him being on the field. In his first 13 career games, the Commanders' Sam Howell became only the 6th quarterback in league history to surpass 3,500 passing yards. A winnable matchup against Dolphins slot cornerback Kadir Kohu should lead to a lot of targets for Washington receiver Curtis Samuel. This season, Samuel has had 4 games with 7 or more targets and scored 18 or more fantasy points in 3 of them. The Commanders are 3-0-1 against the spread and 2-2 outright as home underdogs of 1.5 points under coach Ron Rivera. MF, you're going to love this. As if I couldn't give you any more good news about this game. The highest FPI of the week goes to the Miami Dolphins. 80% going with the Miami Dolphins by an average of 11.4 points. So, I think we all know where we're heading with this one. Give me the Miami Dolphins to win this game, strengthen their stranglehold on the AFC East. They take another step closer towards winning their first AFC East title since the late, great Tony Sperano took them to that division title back in 2008. Miami wins this one 30-17. The Miami Dolphins defeat the Washington Commanders. Keeps that stranglehold over Buffalo in the AFC East. Takes a step closer to winning their first division title in 15 years, and also keeping pace in that highly contested race for the number 1 seed in the AFC, along with the likes of Baltimore, Kansas City, and Jacksonville. So 30-17, the final here. So MF, your boy Adam Amin, he's going to be calling this game, and your Miami Dolphins 9.5-point favorites, highest FPI of the week, 80%, by an average of about 11.5 points, going up against the Washington Commanders. I got a feeling it's going to be feeding time for your boys on Sunday.
I hope so. Especially with all this going in. Yeah, there's a big excitement going in Miami, especially after coming off that nice little Black Friday victory over the New York Jets. And the thing is that with the win this week, it just gets us one step closer. With Buffalo now on bye, Miami would open up a 3-game lead in the AFC East with a win here. So yeah, this definitely could be that kind of a moment where it does open the door where Miami could, if everything holds the form, that they could possibly win the AFC East in a couple of weeks if they beat the New York Jets. That would actually lock up the East and give Miami the division title, and then all they would have to worry about is just placement in the playoffs at that point. So, yes, we did get some better news today. Devon Achane will play on Sunday, so our little spark plug of a running back should come back. Hopefully, he will be fully healthy and ready to go. Obviously, Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle. There's going to be some guys coming out. Plus, we got JPP. Jason Pierre-Paul signed him over the week. And from what I'm hearing is he might even play on Sunday. So we might get to see JPP out there. Obviously, that's going to change the way Miami's defense is going to look a little bit. We were always on a 3-4 now, on a 3-4. Now we might be a 4-3. That means Emil Agba is going to have to come in and play a lot more, and Andrew Van Ginkel is also going to have a big game, even though he has done really good. Obviously, after the Achilles tear by Jalen Phillips, that really, oh my God. If there was one thing that absolutely ruined my Black Friday, that was it. Seeing Jalen Phillips Achilles pop on Sunday on Black Friday, and if you saw the Hard Knocks in season with the Miami Dolphins, God, that was so gut wrenching to watch, even as a Dolphin fan. I literally dropped my head when just hearing him just well up in tears and start crying because that hurt. It hurts. It hurts so bad, man, because I knew it instantly what happened. We all knew it instantly what happened. And this was one of the guys that I wish it never did. So he's one of the heart and souls of that defense. He was such a game disruptor and a great player. And, now, it stunk. Life starts without him. And, well, they gave us Washington. So we'll see. It's going to be a good one. But I believe Miami should get the job done, and this should be an easy victory over Washington. Michael Bullock, I give it to you.
Yeah, I think Miami should be able to handle their business this week here. So I'm with Fletch. I'm going with the Dolphins as well, no doubt about it. So it's yours, Florio.
All right, gentlemen, and we move on now to the late games. There's only 3 of them. We got one 405 game on CBS and 2 425 games on Fox. Whoops, excuse me. And we will start with the 405 game, which is another cross-flex game for our side of the ledger. And I hate to say it, but it's our Zonk game of the week. In the NFC South, no surprise there because of how terrible this division is. It will be the Carolina Panthers squaring off against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers from Raymond James Stadium in Tampa, 4:05 kickoff on CBS. Tom McCarthy's crew is working this game. Tom McCarthy, Jay Feely, James Lofton, and Tiffany Blackman. And spread favors Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay opening up as a 5.5-point favorite. First meeting of the season between these two divisional rivals. And there's Washington, touchdown Washington. And it looks like they have just about all but wrapped up the Pac-12 championship. A touchdown pass from Michael Penix to Quentin Moore, 2-yard touchdown. And barring anything out of the ordinary, it looks like the Washington Huskies are closing in on the Pac-12 championship. So unbelievable. MF and I had Oregon winning this game on the show last night, but looks like we're going to be proven wrong here unless Oregon does something out of the ordinary here, but highly unlikely. But anyways, getting back to this, Tampa Bay opening up as a 5.5-point favorite. Carolina, however, leads the all-time series 25-20. And is that right? Yes, 25-20 in favor of Carolina. They split last year, both teams winning home. So Tampa Bay won in Tampa Bay. And the last time, they won in last year in Tampa. Tampa Bay won 30-24. Tampa's won the last 3 meetings at home against Carolina. Carolina beat Tampa Bay 37-26 in 2019 in London. And in that game, Tampa Bay was the designated home team. Carolina last won in Tampa Bay overall in 2017. Final score was 17-3. So, MF, I'm sorry to do this to you, but it is the Zonk game of the week. You gotta start off on this one. Carolina, Tampa Bay in the dud NFC South to lead off the late game. Zonk game of the week.
Yeah, Zonk game of the week. The matchup doesn't really yell appetizing for any team, but I'm going to go with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I just feel like they're this is the lesser of two evils type of situation. I got a little more faith in Tampa Bay than I do with Carolina, and I got Tampa winning this game. So, Michael Bullock, I give it to you.
Yeah, this is an easy choice here. I got to go with Tampa Bay as well. I mean, I just think they're the better team, and yeah, it's just let the hard times continue for Carolina here. So Tampa wins. It's yours, Florio.
And for the first time, this is an absolute first. The A team of CBS, Jim Nantz, Tony Romo, and Tracy Wolfson will not be working any games this week. They're off this week. So, because of the fact that they did two games last week, the Washington Dallas Thanksgiving game and that thriller between Buffalo and Philadelphia. So they're off this week, but they'll be back next week. And I think we all know which game they're going to be doing next week when my Buffalo Bills square off against the Kansas City Chiefs and what will be our game of the week as well. So, and we'll get into that next week. But anyways, getting into this, at 4-7 and having dropped 6 of their last 7 games, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are miraculously just 1 game out of first place in the NFC South, while the 1-10 Carolina Panthers are hoping a coaching change can galvanize the team. Bucs quarterback Baker Mayfield, who spent 7 games with the Panthers last season, certainly expects it. He said, having been in that spot before, everybody rallies around it, honest. It's one of those things that brings people together, said Mayfield, who is expected to play despite leaving last week's game briefly with an ankle injury. Rookie quarterback Bryce Young will pass for a career-high 300 yards and 3 touchdowns against the NFL's 31st ranked pass defense, 268.7 yards allowed a game, to give interim coach Chris Tabor a win in his debut as Carolina's interim coach. It's bold because Young hasn't topped 200 yards passing in the last 4 games, and his career high is 247 against the Detroit Lions. But Tabor is going to turn him loose. Bryce Young has been sacked at least 4 times in 7 of his 11 games, most by a rookie since Blake Bortles had 9 such games in 2014. The Panthers have allowed 43 sacks and are on pace for 66, which would be the second most in franchise history. The most they allowed was 69 sacks back in the year 2000. The X factor, Panthers edge rusher Brian Burns. It hasn't translated to a huge sack total, 6, but Burns has been disruptive, with a 27% pass rush win rate at edge, which trails only Dallas's Micah Parsons and Cleveland's Myles Garrett. A big defensive game from Burns could go a long way. This season, the Buccaneers have leveraged the running ability and receiving ability of Rachaad White. He's averaged 18.1 touches and 15 fantasy points a game. White will face a Panther defense that allows the third most fantasy points per game to running backs. In the last 15 seasons, teams are 19-12 against the spread in their first games under new head coaches after midseason coaching changes, including 7-2 against the spread since 2020. Tampa Bay, overwhelming FPI favorite, 71% going with Tampa Bay by an average of 7.5 points. I'm going with Tampa Bay. It's going to be closer than that, I think, but I think Tampa Bay will eke it out. 24-20, Tampa Bay defeats Carolina. Oh, Oregon's not out of this thing yet. Oregon's not out of this thing yet.
He's in. That should be a touchdown.
Oh, my.
They called him out at the 4, but
I think that ball got over the pylon.
He never stepped out and he hit the plane. Yes. He's in. That's a touchdown.
That looks good to me.
That's good.
Oregon's not out of it yet, boys.
Oh, no, they're not dead yet. But he's in.
And they got all 3 timeouts, so we'll see what they decide to do on the kickoff.
And I know you guys are ahead of me because you guys have a traditional device. I don't, but it's under review unless they've already concluded the review.
No, it's still under review on our end.
Okay.
All right. It's under review on our end.
Hold on. He's taking it off. Let's hear what he's got to say.
The runners continuing action with firm possession of the football inside the goal line pylon results in a touchdown.
Touchdown.
Oh boy. Oh. It's not
Oregon.
yet, gentlemen. What did we say about Oregon? What did we say? Oh boy. So keep an eye on that. But as I was going to say, Tampa Bay, 71% FPI favorite by an average of 7.5 points. I have Tampa Bay winning this game. Close game. I think they'll eke it out. I'm going to say 24-20. Tampa Bay defeats Carolina. So not much more to say here. We move on to our next game, the first of the 2 4-25 games. Number 3 game of the week on the other side of the ledger here. This game came in at number 3. And Michael Bullock will start it off, as it will feature the Cleveland Browns squaring off against the Los Angeles Rams. SoFi Stadium in England, Los Angeles. Kevin Kugler, Laura Oakman on the call. The Rams up as 3.5-point favorites. And the series history favors LA Rams. The Rams lead the all-time series 12-9. The Rams have actually won the last 3 meetings against the Cleveland Browns and 5 of the last 6 overall. Last meeting was 2019 in Cleveland. Rams won 20-13. Last time the Rams were the home team, 2015 in St. Louis. Rams won going away 24-6. The Browns last beat the Rams overall and on the road since the last in 2007. 2007, Cleveland won in St. Louis 27-20. This will be the first meeting in Los Angeles since 1993, and the Cleveland Browns won that game going away 42-14. The last time the Rams beat the Browns as the LA Rams, 1984, 20-17. So not much more to say here. Michael Bullock, come on in. You'll be leading off on this one. The first of our 425 games on Fox as part of America's Game of the Week. The Cleveland Browns and the Los Angeles Rams, SoFi Stadium. Your thoughts?
And you said the LA Rams are favorites, right?
Yes, indeed. They are opening up as 3.5-point favorites.
I'm a little surprised with that, but I think because of the quarterback problems with the Cleveland, as we just heard that Joe Flacco, who they just signed, is going to get the start here. So we'll see what happens with this. But I think the thing that basically still keeps them in the game, in games, is their defense. because their defense is good. So I do expect that to continue for them. So I'm going to disagree with that, and I'm actually going to go with the Cleveland Browns to win this one. So it's yours, Florio.
Rams quarterback Matthew Stafford is coming off a game in which, hold on one moment. I got bumped up again. All right. Just bear with me for a moment here. This thing keeps messing with me. All right. As I was saying, Rams quarterback Matthew Stafford is coming off a game in which he threw a season-high 4 passing touchdowns, which was as many as he had in his previous 4 games combined. The Browns have allowed just 10 passing touchdowns this season, which is tied with the Baltimore Ravens for the fewest in the NFL. So Stafford and the Rams face a significant challenge. Former Super Bowl MVP Joe Flacco has not thrown a touchdown pass since facing the Cleveland Browns in Week 2 of last season while a member of the New York Jets. But the 38-year-old who signed with Cleveland on November 19th will toss a pair of touchdowns at SoFi Stadium in his first start with the Browns. Puka Nacua could become the 6th player since the 1970 merger to reach 1,000 receiving yards in his first 12 games. The last one to do it was Minnesota's Justin Jefferson in 2020. The receiver already holds Rams rookie records for receptions, passing Cooper Kupp's record in 2017, and receiving yards, 924, currently tied with Eddie Kennison in 1996. The X factor is Rams left tackle Alaric Jackson. The Broncos slowed and injured Myles Garrett last week and won. Can Jackson do the same? It's a tall task for the Rams tackle, who ranks 62nd out of 70 tackles in pass block win rate. Against the Cardinals last week, running back Kyren Williams became the first Rams player since Todd Gurley in 2018 to accumulate 200 total yards and score 2 touchdowns in a game. Williams can be relied on in fantasy lineups even against the Browns' defensive front that ranks first in run stop win rate. He has averaged 19 touches a game. The Browns have covered 6 straight games after a loss and are 8-1 against the spread in their last 9 games after a loss, 3-0 against the spread this season. However, the Rams are the FPI favorite, 64% going with the Los Angeles Rams by an average of 4.8 points. I'm going with the Los Angeles Rams. I'm actually going to go with the Los Angeles Rams to win this game. My final score, I'm going to say 23-21. The Rams eke by the Cleveland Browns. So not much more to say. MF, I believe we have a tie here. You're the tiebreaker. Do you go with Bullock and the Browns, or are you going to agree with me and the Rams?
Any other time, I kind of feel like this is it's gonna go both ways. I don't know. I mean, look, they with the Browns, they're putting their faith in Joe Flacco now as the starting quarterback. That's a major upgrade. That might help them out a little bit. But with the Rams, you never know. I mean, like you said, Puka Nacua, the way that this team is lined up and set it up, I feel like this could go either way. I'm going to go with the Rams at home because I believe this is going to be one of those type of games. So there's really nothing more to say. Anthony, it is all yours.
Gentlemen, are you ready for the main event?
Aren't we forgetting something, Fletch, since I was the only one who went with the Browns?
Do it, baby.
Oh! I just lone wolfed it.
Yes, you did. Yes,
and Washington with a first down to pretty much seal the Pac-12 title for them.
For the game.
Yeah. But now it's time, Florio. It's time for the main event.
Main event time, boys. Finally, a game worthy of this moniker. America's Game of the Week on Fox. The game of the week, and you can make an argument this might be the biggest game in the NFC all year. Fox will have it. It's the rematch of last year's NFC Championship game. The San Francisco 49ers squaring off against the Philadelphia Eagles, Lincoln Financial Field in Philadelphia. Kevin Burkhardt, Greg Olsen, Aaron Andrews, Tom Rinaldi, They will be in Philly for this one. San Francisco opening up as a 3-point favorite, and according to my notes here, the series history between these two. Just gotta find it here. All right, I think I got it. All right. San Francisco leads the all-time season series 19-14 with a tie. That tie came in 1956 in Philadelphia, 10-10. Last meeting, of course, it was the NFC Championship game in January of this year. The Philadelphia Eagles won that one going away 31-7. Last regular season meeting in Philadelphia was 2021, and the San Francisco 49ers won that game by a score of 17-11. So it's only been 2 years since San Fran last won in Philly. So 2021. So Eagles' last home win over the Niners in the regular season was 2017, 33-10. So here we go, boys. The game of the week. Following their 31-7 NFC Championship game loss to the Eagles last January, a sentiment out of the 49ers locker room was that the outcome would have been much different if quarterback Brock Purdy did not exit with an injury midway through the first quarter. They'll have a chance to back that up on Sunday. Purdy has completed over 70% of his passes this season and has a league-leading QBR of 75.6. The Eagles are 29th versus the pass, 256 yards a game, and have yielded the second most passing touchdowns in the NFL. Running back Christian McCaffrey and the Niners will rush for 150-plus yards. The Eagles are allowing just 85.3 yards a game on the ground, which is third best in the league, but they have struggled as of late, yielding a combined 346 yards on the ground in the last 2 weeks. What's more, Philadelphia is coming off a game in which it played 92 defensive snaps, and it's giving up 6 yards a carry on run plays outside the tackles. The 49ers are coming in with a few extra days of rest after playing on Thanksgiving, and an offense that's as healthy as it has been since early in the season. The 49ers 15.7 points in the first half, the fourth highest mark in the NFL. The Eagles averaged 14.8 points in the second half, highest in the NFL. The 49ers allow 6.6 points a game in the second half, fewest in the NFL. The X factor is 49ers wide receiver Brandon Ayuk. It's flying a little under the radar because of Tyreek Hill's season, but Ayuk's 3.44 yards per route run in 2023 would rank third by any player in a season since 2007, behind only Tyreek Hill this season and Steve Smith in 2008. That's how good he's been, and he's one of many playmakers who could lift the 49ers over the Eagles. Purdy has scored 18 or more fantasy points in 3 of his last 5 games and has completed at least 70% of his passes in 5 straight. Now he faces an Eagles defense that gives up the second most fantasy points a game to quarterbacks. The Eagles have covered 3 straight games in 4 of their last 5 games. The FPI actually likes San Francisco in this game. 56% by an average of 1.9 points. That's almost 2 points. Very tough to call. I had a tough time with that Denver-Houston game. I've had an even tougher time with this one because we all know, gentlemen, this one can literally go either way. Not going to lie. But if I'm going to be real honest with you, I am going to take an absolute chance here, and I am going to go with the San Francisco 49ers to steal one in Philadelphia. 34-27, the San Francisco 49ers steal this one at Lincoln Financial Field and puts themselves in the running for the number 1 seed in the NFC. This game could be very well significant as to who the road to the Super Bowl in the NFC goes through. Very well could. And who knows, we could see this matchup again. Maybe in the NFC Championship, maybe even in the divisional round. I don't know, but don't be surprised if we end up seeing this match again sometime next month. So 34-27, San Francisco steals it. So there isn't much more to say. MF, San Francisco started 5-0, went on a 3-game tailspin. They've won 3 in a row since. They've looked like that dominant team once again. Philly coming off a survival win. They escaped by the skin of their teeth. The Buffalo Bills. Buffalo had them. Buffalo had them. We saw it. Buffalo had them. But somehow, some way, they found a way to win, and here we are, San Fran and Philly. I know it's not our game, but do that thing I like anyway. Hello, friends.
Yeah, this is going to be a great matchup, no doubt about it. Look, with the way that this game is going to go, this can go a number of different ways. Now, I get it. A lot of people are saying, well, San Francisco was the team that everybody was talking about, that they were going to be the team that could win the game, whatever you want to say, looking forward and whatnot. Then you have the Philadelphia Eagles, there's the thing about the injuries. They talk about many different factors, how the team, there's been a lot of different things going on. And then you get the narrative about the NFC Championship game. Maybe if it wasn't the fact that they lost 4 quarterbacks in the game, that maybe the Niners would have won that game, that they're the most complete team. Philadelphia just has answered the bell against every single team up to this point. The only team that they lost to was the New York Jets, and it's because they kind of shot themselves in the foot, if you honestly think about it. Going into this, there was a lot of different ways that this could go. There's a lot of different factors that this could go. And at the end of the day, it's going to be one way or the other. Yes, the Niners feel like we did not play our best game in the NFC Championship game. And now, if you notice, after the injury occurred and the whole 9 yards, there's only been one team that has dominated the whole time. Yes, the Eagles have been the best, but I think that Buffalo game we kind of saw some chinks in the armor of Philadelphia. And if you notice, the Niners have been a well-oiled machine. Yeah, there was the hiccups, that 3-game losing streak where everybody's like, oh, what's wrong with San Fran? They had injuries. Now, Philly's dealing with injuries. Lane Johnson got hurt. If you remember, did not play against Buffalo. Have not heard anything about him possibly playing against the Niners. They need him. They need him more than ever before. Especially when you got a defense like the Niners do. Oh my goodness. Heavyweight championship fight. Great battle to say the very least. San Fran gets their revenge and wins it. I'm with Anthony Fleur on this one. I got the 49ers as well. Michael Bullock, it's yours.
And before it is now a final, the Washington Huskies have won the Pac-12 championship. They have defeated the Oregon Ducks 34-31. Washington on their way to the college football playoff. So no question about that now. So Michael Bullock, are you there? And if you are, let's get your thoughts on the main event, the rematch of the NFC Championship, San Francisco and Philadelphia. Are we going to make it unanimous, or are you going to lone wolf again?
Oh man, this is tough for me. I mean, this one could go either way. Look, I mean, if this game was in San Francisco, I would easily say the 49ers. But this game is at Lincoln Financial Field. This Eagles team has been so good all season long. They had the best record. So, for the second time tonight, I am lone wolfing it again. I'm going with the Philadelphia Eagles to win this one. But if San Fran were to win, I would not at all be surprised that if they do get their payback. But I'm going with the Eagles. So, for the second time tonight, it's yours.
So nice, we get it twice. How about that? All right. Now we're on to the primetime games, gentlemen, and we move on to Sunday Night Football on NBC, 8:20 p.m. on NBC. And this game comes in as our number 3 game of the week on our side of the ledger. This game came in at number 3. The Kansas City Chiefs squaring off against the Green Bay Packers from the frozen tundra of Lambeau Field. No to the great Chris Berman, of course, who made that famous on NFL Primetime. And all right, now I'll be honest with you. I am not a weatherman. I don't play one on TV, but from what I have heard, weather game here, boys. It literally will be the frozen tundra of Lambeau Field come Sunday night for this matchup. If my data serves me correctly, which I'm trying to get. Okay. From what I am hearing, gentlemen, I'm hearing we might be getting snow for this game. This might be a snow game here. So let me just quickly look at it here. Just do a quick analysis here. Okay. I don't think it's going to snow during the game because but it will be cold. It will be right around the freezing temperature mark. It'll be in like around the 30s or so. It'll be about 32 degrees at kickoff, and it'll be probably like upper 20s by the time this game's over. But it definitely will be a vintage frozen tundra game in Lambeau. But Kansas City and Green Bay, our number 3 game of the week, Sunday Night Football on NBC. The traditional team is back. They're back together. Mike Tirico, Chris Collinsworth, Melissa Stark. They'll be there. And Kansas City. Kansas City is opening up as a 6-point favorite. 6-point favorite spread for Kansas City. Kansas City also leads the all-time series, 8-4 with a tie. Their last meeting was 2 years ago in Kansas City. Kansas City won an ugly game, 13-7. Last meeting in Green Bay was 2015. Green Bay won that game by a score of 38-28. The Chiefs have not won at Lambeau since 2003. 2003, they won a wild 40-34 overtime game in 2003, 5-star classic to say the very least. So I do believe good old MF Michael Fletcher leads off on this one. So MF, come on in. Number 3 game of the week. Something's got to give for both of these teams here. Kansas City, of course, looking to keep pace in that loaded race for the number 1 seed in the AFC. But don't look now. Here come the Green Bay Packers, and they're flying high after that huge win in Detroit on Thanksgiving.
Yes, they are. They kind of went back, turned back the clock and did what they had to do to win that game. Kansas City, look, status quo for the Chiefs. Everybody thought, they might be in trouble. Remember, they were down 14-0 on the Raiders. The Raiders caught them and spotted them 14 before they turned it up. So, look, I don't know how that's going to look out and everything else, but I'm pretty sure Kansas City will figure out a way to win this game. They always do, man. Just when we think that the Chiefs are down and out and everything else, then all of a sudden they turn it around and just Mahomes. That's all you need to know. It's Patrick Mahomes, man. That cat's is a different breed, ladies and gentlemen. Kansas City wins. Bullock, it's yours.
Yeah, I mean, all of a sudden the Green Bay Packers, I mean, despite their record, they are back in the playoff race. But I mean, Kansas City, I mean, look, I mean, to me, I think they're the better team here. So I'm going the Kansas City Chiefs to win this one. So it's yours, Florio.
The Packers are undefeated, 15-0 in the month of December since Matt LaFleur took over as coach in 2019. But they haven't played the Kansas City Chiefs in the final month of the calendar year during that stretch. Jordan Love's first NFL start came at Kansas City in a 13-7 loss in November of 2021. Meanwhile, this will be Patrick Mahomes' first appearance at Lambeau Field. The Chiefs will sack Jordan Love 4 times. When defensive coordinator Steve Spagnuolo wants to bring pressure, the Chiefs have usually been successful this season, and they bring it from many different places. 14 players with at least a half sack. Love has been sacked only 22 times, but hasn't faced a pass rush like this one. The Chiefs' defense uses DB blitzes on 20% of opponents' dropbacks, the third highest rate in the league. That might not be the best idea against Love on Sunday night, as the Packers quarterback has played well against DB blitzes, ranking top 5 in QBR, first down rate, and sack percentage. The X factor is the Packers' running game. The Chiefs' defense is vulnerable against the run. Green Bay hasn't really been able to get its running game going this year. It ranks 23rd in EPA per design carry, but needs its backs to step up in a big way Sunday night. Last week against the Las Vegas Raiders, Chiefs receiver Rashee Rice set season highs in targets, 10, receptions, 8, receiving yards, 107, and fantasy points, 24.7. He had the most receiving yards by a Chiefs rookie since Dwayne Bowe, who had 164 receiving yards in 2007. Over the last 2 weeks, the Packers defense gave up big games to Detroit's Amon-Ra St. Brown, 18.5, and the LA Chargers' Keenan, 7.6. Andy Reid is 0-6 against the spread in his last 6 in Bay, including the playoffs, and he is 0-3 against them as the Kansas City Chiefs head coach. FPI loves Kansas City here, 72% going with Kansas City by an average of 7.6 points. I'm going with Kansas City to win. It's going to be close. Don't discount Green Bay. They're going to give Kansas City fits. But I think Kansas City is going to eke it out here. 27-24, Kansas City defeats Green Bay. Final game of the night, Monday Night Football on ESPN. About an 8:15 kickoff on their end. It's our number 4 game of the week. The Cincinnati Bengals squaring off against the Jacksonville Jaguars, TIAA Bank Field in Jacksonville. Joe Buck, Troy Aikman, Lisa Salters on the call. Jacksonville opening up as an 8.5-point favorite. Jacksonville leads the all-time series regular season 13-11. However, the Bengals have won the last 2 meetings in a row. They last met in 2021 in Cincinnati. Cincinnati won 24-21. Last meeting in Jacksonville was 2017. Jacksonville won that game 23-7. Jacksonville last beat Cincinnati in 2019, but that was in Cincinnati, 27-17. And Cincinnati last won in Jacksonville in 2012, 27-10. So, Michael Bullock, come on in. You lead off on our final game of the week, Monday Night Football, our number 4 game of the week, the Cincinnati Bengals and the Jacksonville Jaguars. Cincinnati still trying to adjust to life without Joe, whereas Jacksonville looking to keep pace in that loaded race for that top spot in the AFC.
Yeah. I mean, in the past, this would be a game that I would look forward to, especially with Joe Burrow. But of course, we all know the story with Joe Burrow. Of course, he's done for the season. So yeah, it's going to be tough for them because Jacksonville is just playing really good right now. So I'm going to go with the Jacksonville Jaguars to win this one. So what's yours for you?
Yeah. What should have been a marquee quarterback matchup between Joe Burrow and Trevor Lawrence is now Trevor Lawrence versus Jake Browning. The Jaguars pass rush is coming off one of its best games of the season. 21 pressures, 4 sacks, and Browning has been sacked 7 times in the last 2 games. Expect the Jaguars to bring extra rushers to try and rattle a quarterback making just his second career start. Jaguars receiver Christian and running back Travis Etienne Jr. will each cross the 100-yard mark. The Bengals are worst in the NFL in yards allowed per play at 6.2 and have a young secondary still looking to learn the ropes. Kirk is 18th in the NFL in receiving yards, and Etienne is 3rd in the league in scrimmage yards per game. Cincinnati receiver Jamar Chase needs 86 receiving yards for 1,000 this season. He would be the 8th player in NFL history and 2nd Bengals player alongside of A.J. Green with 1,000 receiving yards in each of his first 3 seasons. The X factor is Bengals edge rusher Trey Hendrickson. If the Bengals are going to win, they're going to need their defense to come up big. Hendrickson can do that against backup Jaguars tackle Walker Little. The return of Jaguars receiver Zay Jones has boosted Calvin Ridley's fantasy value since opposing defenses can no longer bracket him. Over the last 2 games, Ridley has been targeted 15 times and scored 22 or more fantasy points in each game. The Jaguars have covered 5 straight conference games. The Bengals are 1-6 against the spread this season in conference games. Jacksonville, big FPI favorite, 67% going with Jacksonville by an average of 5.8 points. I'm going with the Jacksonville Jaguars to win this game as well. 23-16, Jacksonville over Cincinnati. Nothing left to say except take us home, MF.
Like you said, if Joe Burrow was in this game, I think we'd be feeling a lot more optimistic about Cincinnati's chances, but it's not Burrow. So I think Jacksonville will get the job done. I think they'll maintain what they're doing right now, and yeah, I think they're gonna start to stretch this little bit of the lead in the division. So nothing more to say, Anthony. Let's call it for the evening.
And that will indeed put the bow on this Week 13 edition of TXN Sports World NFL Friday. We want to thank you all so very much for tuning in as always. We will be back with you tomorrow night. I believe it's 10:30 tomorrow night over on MF's channel, Braves Fan 95. MF?
Yes, it is.
Okay, 10:30. Yep. 10:30 tomorrow night. The Cerebral Smack Talk hosted by good old MF Michael Fletcher on his channel, Braves Fan 95. We got quite a bit to say about SmackDown, especially what's going to be happening in our neck of the woods next week. Oh yeah. Friday night SmackDown, AEW Collision. That's tomorrow night. Sunday, very special show. For the first time ever, we are going to announce the college football playoff top 4 and matchups live as they are announced. We don't know exactly what time this will be announced.
Right now, I'm looking at a 12:30 start because traditionally they always do the announcements about 12:40, 12:45 is what I'm thinking.
So what time would you like to set up shop?
I want to set up around 12:30.
Okay. All right. So so at a special start time of 12:30, which will be the earliest broadcast in the history of our shows, we will have we'll say some words and then I think we could do a recap of the conference championship games and then we'll dive into the announcements as they are made. So 12:30 on Sunday, a very special edition of TXN Sports World, as we will announce the college football playoff matchups as they are announced for the first time ever. We're doing this. I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be great. And then Monday night we will have Ridiculously Raw, right back here on the Tone 25, following Raw Monday night. Monday Night Raw, as always, of course, and my Tony's take on NXT Level Up, and I will preview the Impact Wrestling Final Resolution special that will go down next weekend. So that'll be on Monday, and then Wednesday we will have Wednesday Night Madness hosted by good old MF Michael Fletcher, as we will have NXT, we will have AEW, Dynamite, and of course Thursday Night Football, which unfortunately will be our Zonk game of the week next week, when Michael Bullock's New England Patriots square off against the Pittsburgh Steelers. So we'll get into that on Wednesday. And then, normally, of course, we've been doing these shows on Fridays. Well, next Friday, we will not have NFL Friday. Instead, we're going to be pushing that show to Thursday and have a special Thursday night, a special NFL Thursday show on Thursday night, because of the fact that myself, Michael Bullock, and MF will be heading to the Amica Mutual Pavilion next Friday night to take in Friday Night SmackDown Presents Tribute to the Troops. We're going to be on hand for that. And on that Thursday show, we will, time permitting, we will recap the Patriots and the Steelers. When it comes to next week's slate, notable games include only because of divisional purposes, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the Atlanta Falcons, the Los Angeles Rams and the Baltimore Ravens, the Indianapolis Colts and the Cincinnati Bengals, the Jacksonville Jaguars against the Cleveland Browns, the Minnesota Vikings and the Las Vegas Raiders. The Vikings are going to get Justin Jefferson back. And we also got some really good games in the later window. The Seattle Seahawks and the San Francisco 49ers. The game of the week on our side of the ledger next week, the Buffalo Bills and the Kansas City Chiefs. We know what those two are capable of. And, of course, the game of the week next week, the Philadelphia Eagles and the Dallas Cowboys. Just some of the notable games we will have next week. And I do believe this is also the final bye week. Only 2 teams will be on bye next week, and those 2 teams being the Arizona Cardinals and the Washington Commanders. So, and we will have that on a special Thursday edition. It'll be TXN Sports World NFL Thursday in this case for next week. We'll be back at our normal time in 2 weeks on the 15th. So that's it. So until tomorrow night for the Cerebral Smack Talk with MF over on his channel, Braceway 95 at 10:30. Anthony Florio here for Michael Bullock, and in spirit, good old MF Michael Fletcher. And of course, always and forever, the First Lady Dee Dee Woodson. You know the routine, everybody. Thumbs up. Talk to you later. Yeah. Throw it up Fortune 4 style. Bye for now, my friends. God bless. Be good to each other. Have a blessed Saturday. And until tomorrow night for the Cerebral Smack Talk, you were watching the Week 13 edition of TXN Sports World NFL Friday right here on the Tone 25 on YouTube and StreamYard.com. For everybody who's been a part of this one, for now, Anthony Florio, so long, and bye, everybody. Bye.